Elemental Impact, EI, is a national environmental nonprofit with global impact. And our mantra is EI is an incubator. EI is a creator. We look at what could be done, isn't being done, and we get it done. EI identifies pioneers and creates heroes. EI brings the possible out of impossible. The zero waste zones were launched in Atlanta, Georgia, under the auspice of the Georgia Restaurant Association in 2009. They were the forerunner in the nation for the commercial collection of compost, and they made national and global impact. CNN ran a homepage story on the zero waste zones that aired during prime time globally. The New York Times ran a front page article. It was huge. We were total forerunners. And how we formed them is we went out, we looked at how we could do maximum impact, minimum decision makers, and went around and met in the downtown convention area of Atlanta, Georgia. We met with the Georgia World Congress Center Authority. That is the fourth largest convention center in the nation. We secured their yes. Under the authority is also Atlanta Centennial Park from the Olympics, a 20-acre park. And at the time, it was the Georgia Dome where the Atlanta Falcons played. Then we reached out. We went to the Georgia Aquarium. We went to the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. We went to the Hyatt Regency, to the World of Coca-Cola, and everyone said yes. And we launched them with a big fanfare. And the reason that it was important is the zones created route density. We had to make sure that this program would make good, solid business sense. And if you get the leaders in and you teach them how to do back of the house food waste collection, you get them to tell you that this is easy. You make it so it makes good financial sense for them, and you get their employees excited. You've got a winning situation. And then the smaller businesses can join in because, again, you have route density. That was a key to success. And then we went from downtown, where all the business associations were in Atlanta, Midtown, and Buckhead, and we launched zero waste zones there also. The zero waste zone criteria went well beyond food waste. In addition to the collection of food waste for composting, any food that met the Good Samaritan Food Donation Act was required to be donated. Then we moved to recycling. All materials that were recyclable had to be collected for recycling. Spent grease, that's your fryer grease, it had to be collected for the biofuel generation. And those were the general criteria of what happened with zero waste. Now, we knew we were not getting to true zero waste. In true zero waste, according to the USGBC's true certification, you start at 90% zero waste. But what we were trying to do is let's just get started and let's get these to be generally accepted business operating practices. And we had a couple taglines. One tagline was the key to success is baby steps, lots and lots of baby steps. That's our current focus, is on the rewilding. And we have several new focuses, 3 of them that are in the incubation stage. We have invasive species. There are a series of invasive species out there that are tasty. They're really good to eat. For example, the wild boars and hogs, and also the lionfish. And we have the connections within the food service industry to create these invasive species as a food source for our growing human population and get them into the food processing and food systems so we can actually make a difference in the reduction and hopefully eradication eventually of the invasive species. The next is the macro and nanoplastics in our soils. Last year, in May of 2022, the Center for International Environmental Law issued a report on plastics within our soil. It was devastating but intriguing to read that these soils have more macro and nanoplastics in it than the air and the water. And the culprit of these the plastics is the time-released fertilizers and pesticides that are used in commercial agriculture and in landscaping. Our focus will be on landscaping. There's too many politics in the agriculture. And you just go back to basics. You use compost and you don't need those fertilizers and those pesticides. And then the third emerging focus is scaling up composting in Sarasota, Florida. EI serves as the industry expert for table to farms, whose mission is to scale up food waste collection for compost within all the small and medium-sized cities across the nation. Individually, it will not be significant. Collectively, it will be huge, and it will reduce the greenhouse gases from the landfills and also regenerate our soils. So as soon as that is funded, that will be a primary focus. And one of the major keys is my corporate background. I can go in and meet with a CEO and speak in the language they can hear. And that's proved invaluable. So I can speak to corporate executives, to government officials, and respected scholars in the voice they can hear, and we can get action moving. And the second is I am committed to divine energy. I have devoted my physical vessel to divine energy, and I live within my heart in all realms of my life, including my professional realms. And within that practice, I develop the awareness of flow. I understand when to flow with a project, when all the dots are being dotted and you're moving along, I flow. Importantly, I know when the flow has stopped. I call it, I step to the sidelines. And even more important is when you jump back in. And those two aspects, my corporate voice and my ability to flow and not flow, has been key to our success. In my perspective, to regenerate our earth in what I would call the mundane level, in the linear, in the physical realities, it's not possible. If we go back to the report on Sowing a Plastic Planet that I mentioned, it's nanoparticles, unbelievable amounts of macro and nano plastics in our soils, waters, and air. Nanoplastics can segue through cell walls. We can't clean that up. We also have toxicity throughout. So in my truth, we humans have just had a grand time here on Earth. We've made a real mess. And at a divine level, there is no judgment. It's just not able to clean up. But what we can do, and why I'm extraordinarily optimistic, is if we all live in our hearts, if we can get to a tipping point of humans acting and living within their divine hearts, we will create a collective consciousness that will miraculously recreate an entirely new world based on the intentions of these heart-based humans. And that's a beautiful thing. And there is a collective conscious movement in process now. Back in 2013, EI wrote a series of articles on the we consciousness and said that the we consciousness was absolutely necessary for zero waste success. The team must work together. In 2015, my good friend Tim Rummage and his colleague authored a book, Spaceship Earth, and also founded a nonprofit. And in their model, their vernacular is that the earth is a spaceship, but there's no passengers. Everybody is crew. Everybody must work together in unison. It's collective consciousness. And what Humanity Day is doing, I am humanity. That is collective consciousness, another vernacular. And it's so important to have all these different essences of the collective consciousness coming together so a renewed and new earth may come forth. That's my truth. In my perspective, we must, as humanity, get back to basics. And in EI's standpoint, back to basics is taking care of the water, the soil, and their respective microbial communities. I am known for the following quote: in my truth, we must, absolutely must, return our water and soil microbial communities back to a healthy, balanced state in order for life as we know it to survive and once again thrive on our planet. And in addition to the water and soil microbial communities, another back to basic is honoring, respecting our worker population. Humanity has tremendous amounts to learn from the eusocial species within the kingdom. If you look at bees, you look at ants, you look at wolves, they respect their worker population. As long as they do their job and don't buck at authority, they are respected and well taken care of. And we can learn tremendous amounts by emulating their practices. And in closing, I'd like to thank you extraordinary amounts for including me in the October 28th Humanity Day, and for I Am Humanity, and for all that you all are doing. It is incredibly imperative for building and creating a new earth. And in closing, I am humanity.